you're right, it's inconsistent in who's caring for them when you have to bring in agency staff. I'm telling you right now, those residents would rather see an agency staff person show up than to be left not being able to access those daily needs. Senator Summers, you brought up some wonderful points related to how do we bring people back into this industry when we're talking about all of this really challenging information. It's not somewhere you go, oh, bring me there, I want to go. What we've heard from residents as part of our e-board is that they feel stigmatized. They feel like people don't want to go to nursing home. I think Matt brought this up. Why would you want to go to work someplace where it doesn't seem like a happy place or joyful the way that they used to be? So we have residents that are willing to go out. They want to go to some of these schools. They want to go to some of these training programs and say, yes, some people have memory care issues. Yes, some people can be challenging, but look at me. I'm the person who you're going to be providing care for. I'm the person that needs you to show up for them every day. And they want to be a part of that recruiting. They want to be a part of that conversation and outreach. And so we want to promote that and having residents be that face of the people who, again, not just older adults, individuals with disability, who requires care in Connecticut, and how do we ensure they're getting it where they want, high quality care that we can all be proud to stand behind.
Thank you, Marie. Lita?
I just wanted to add one more thing to Senator Summers' request and to the legislators who may be taking initiative, and also to Meg and Matt. You know, we hear a lot on the workforce side about CNAs and about nurses and LPNs and needing to recruit that. We also hear a lot about accountability on the owners and operators of nursing homes. I rarely hear anything about nursing home administrators. And the truth is, leadership matters. In the best homes, we have some of the best nursing home administrators. Not true for the worst. And so when you get a staffing issue around things like scheduling, or you have a problem, you know, bringing folks in or doing recruiting and retention or training, or you have a problem, you know, managing your physical plan, that's the nursing home administrator. And so I think that we need to, in Connecticut, pay some attention to the quality of the nursing home administrators, the training for them. You know, maybe there's some initiative to be had, you know, through the associations or something. But I think we need to be grooming, training, recruiting, retaining a higher quality of nursing home administrator in the state.
Thank you, Lita. Meg?
Yeah, I just want to second what Lita just said, and Matt knows I bring this up a lot in some of the meetings we have. But you know, this pandemic showed leadership does matter, and very often we find in the legislature that people's opinion is management shouldn't get any money, management shouldn't get any attention. The director of nursing does nothing. The director of nursing is such a critical position in a nursing home, as is the administrator. And I think we need to, when we talk about respect, we need to respect those positions. Those are professional positions. And we need to put some effort into not just providing more training for them, but encouraging more people to go into that area. We can provide training to people. We've got a lot of, Matt does programs, we do programs for like nurses and things. But the administrative program, back before the pandemic, we were talking to UConn about really helping them enhance that program, developing a little bit better sort of internship programs for them, more structured. But of course, that all went away with the pandemic. But there are very few programs in the state. They're expensive. And there's just, you know, and you used to be back in the day, and Barbara knows this, the assistant administrator, right? And you became an administrator, and then you worked for years as an assistant, and you learned how to do it. And that's just not around anymore. And so many administrators and directors of nursing are retiring or planning to retire that people are really fearful of this. So I just wanted to second what Lita said, and we can't discount leadership when it comes to the nursing home field.
Thank you, Mag. If no further, Barbara.
I'm going to make one comment because Lita was singing from our collective sheet of music about leadership. So thank you, Lita, for that. And I just want to identify or signal for this group that when we see these survey findings, and as we've all noted, we are seeing lots more findings on our surveys, there is a nexus to leadership. and leadership changes. And Meg, thank you for, as a nurse, I thank you for signaling how important the director of nurses is as well. But with a strong leadership team, that does matter. And just to reinforce, when we see things go sideways, we are seeing changes 3-4 times in a 12-month span, where there have been new administrators, new directors. And Maraith, you're going to appreciate and read my mind about this. And when a director leaves, in some cases, a resident's world can fall apart. So we do need to spend time on looking at how to build the leaders. And Mag, I am a dinosaur, so I admit it. But we have to look at how do we build those leaders that we have today to be strong and competent and skillful. So I'll stop there. I'll get off my soapbox on that one.
Thank you, Barbara. If no further discussion on this topic, we will move to receiverships, closures, and bankruptcies. This should be a quick one. So we've had 0 bankruptcies since the last time that we met. We've had 1 closure since the last time we met. That was in Waterbury. And just to remind folks, on our monthly census reports, we post the closures at the very bottom of the report. You'll see a section that says closed facilities. So that information is reported out there. And again, I'll throw that link in the chat so you can reference that. And we have 1 building that remains in receivership, and that's also in Waterbury. If no questions, Barbara, that's a legacy. I don't know if you, oh, Matt has a question. Yes, Matt.
Yeah, just, I think the reason we report and the statute requires the reporting on bankruptcies and receiverships, because the general charge of the Nursing Home Finance Advisory Committee is related to issues concerning the financial solvency of the sector and the quality of care. And Lita, I'm quoting Lita a lot today, but Lita really appropriately mentioned the relationship between quality of care and financial distress in the sector. And so one part of the enabling statute that we haven't been reporting on, and I think we really need to start reporting on, and the citation is 17B-339, and I know Melissa Morton is very intimately familiar with this, but we're supposed to be reporting on the number of interim rate requests, hardship rate requests that are being requested of the Department of Social Services. I shouldn't say we, the Department of Social Services should be doing this. And they do it, the statute requires they do it in a de-identified way. So you don't name the facility, but you name how many you're receiving, what are the reasons, and if there's a rate request, and there is a rate request inevitably related to of this, what would it cost to address those rate issues? And so I think that would be a piece of information. As we're trying to evaluate the financial solvency of the sector. And frankly, I'll be straight, Mag and I do not have this information. In other words, this is information that may only be, I don't know how many interim rate requests are before the Department of Social Services. My members don't tell me, and I wouldn't have any idea about any facilities that are not members of either my group or not. But I do think we need to, maybe start reporting on that, because. And the good news would be that it's a very low number, and we're not seeing those kinds of incidents of financial distress. But I would be concerned about that as we're moving to the other side of the pandemic. We have recently, brought to the attention of the Department of Social Services the ravaging double-digit inflation. Now, again, some of these issues are not peculiar to nursing homes, although you could argue that nursing homes are more adversely affected on the staffing issue than other parts of the healthcare system. And inflation is not unique to or peculiar to nursing homes. Nevertheless, inflation is ravaging, Connecticut nursing homes, along with, this over 20% increase in costs associated with staffing, the higher costs associated with nursing pool agencies, the overall cost of business. And we say that our rate setting system, while responsive as it's been, and especially the great deal of federal support that we received, in addition to the state support we received, it's just not keeping pace with these costs. When you think about the wage enhancement, it was probably the most important thing that the Connecticut General Assembly did, a 4.5% wage increase. But I have to tell you, with bonuses and wages and staffing, our costs are probably up over 20%. And so 4.5% doesn't even begin to come reach that. And the reason I'm mentioning that is this isn't a request on this call for rate relief. It's on this issue and relatedness of between financial solvency and quality of care.
Sure. Thank you, Matt. Yes, so we can add that for the next meeting. We can build in, reporting out if any interim request received, volume and nature of. So we can structure something that for the next meeting. So, Marie.
I just let me put it down. I can wait. If you're going to do it the next meeting, I can talk about our concerns related to the financial viability billings, that stuff then.
Okay, sure. Mag.
Can we also include in that discussion at the next meeting, the changing payer mix? Because I think that's something that's really impacting a lot of people, particularly the growth of the Medicare Advantage plans, because that's putting a lot of pressure on buildings.
We may not, in DSS, we may not necessarily have visibility into that, Mag. So, I mean, we would have some, but I think maybe could you also to incorporate from your membership with a flavor a bit of what they're seeing, and we can try to kind of maybe structure that conversation a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like just an awareness of when you're talking about the different financial pressures. We've always had this reliance on the cost shift, right, to Medicare and to private pay. But Medicare no longer pays like it used to because the growth of Medicare Advantage in the state of Connecticut is growing, extremely rapidly, and they pay at a much lower rate than traditional Medicare. So you have a different, so that's really impacting the finances of many, many nursing homes.
And Mag, we're working on that with the Center for Medicare Advocacy and looking at that and some advocacy around that at a federal level. So if you have homes, I know I reached out at one point to you and Matt about that with examples, or that want to work with us further on that. We've done some work. We're going to continue that work this year, and we're super lucky to have the Center for Medicare Advocacy right here in Connecticut. So if you want to,
yeah, I mean, we can, and we can, people can talk very openly about, say, pre-authorization, length of stay. It's a little more difficult, I think, for people to be open about the rates they're being paid. I think there's some restrictions on people being able to talk about rates. So I'm just throwing that out. That's what people are hesitant to talk about.
Okay, and we're looking at how often people are getting denials after another, and they need to go back and fight for each of those denials, the stress it's putting on the individual residents, the stress it's adding to the facility. And so wanting to take a better look at that, because it's supposed to be equal to your traditional Medicare, and we're not seeing that overall for the individuals that it's serving. And so we want to know a little bit more about that and work on it both here and at a federal level.
Right. Yeah, because there are some proposed changes at the federal level that might help, particularly with prior authorization and things. All right, great. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you guys both for helping to kind of spearhead that piece of the conversation. Thank you. Shifting now to our case mix transition to our acuity reimbursement. So as a reminder, on July 1st of last year, we transitioned nursing home reimbursement to an acuity-based system. And essentially, long and short, what does that mean? Well, it means that the direct care component of the rate will adjust for the case mix index of that building. So essentially the simplest way to explain it is the sicker the resident, the money would shift up to support the resource need of that resident. So we transitioned successfully on July 1st. The rate will throttle and adjust quarterly. So nursing homes will be receiving quarterly adjustments to their rate, and that will come to them in the form of a rate letter. They also receive reports through their secure portal systems they have with the department. So we have that open line of communication with each individual building. The next big piece, though, for the case mix process is on July 1st of this year, we'll be transitioning to incorporating in a quality component. to the reimbursement. So we've been working closely with the associations with Matt and Mag on what does that look like? What is the quality program going to look like? How would the rate calculation work? So we've been having those internal discussions, and coming up in this year, we'd like to start having stakeholder meetings with the industry. And we can start reporting out to this group as well, what the quality reimbursement piece of the program would look like. So I think as we have our internal discussions fleshed out a little bit more, we'll start having those industry-wide stakeholder meetings, and we can get that information out to this group, so we can start kind of having those discussions and talking about that. I think the big piece about a quality program, though, is of course everybody wants to know, how does my individual rate get impacted under a quality program? So we are working on doing modeling so that each of the nursing homes can see how that may work. But again, as the folks may remember from the last legislative session, the quality program was put forward, but there was no funding put in place for it. So we have to kind of think and work through, how do you fund a program? So we are working through that, and we'll of course have, I think, more discussions in our internal discussions with Matt and Mag, and then broaden that out to our stakeholder meetings. But I think, though, in the interest of the state, having a quality program is very important. And we do know that we'll be utilizing the current measures that are already in place for nursing homes with CMS, so those quality measures, then utilizing those to incorporate into our quality program. So Matt and Mag, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
The need for the funding for it. Yes, we would like to see a new pot of funding for it. They say, what, 5 to 7% of the total spend is a good pot to have, because you need to have enough funding to make it move the dial. We're actually excited to get going on this, and maybe even if we have to start slowly, just initiating it with a couple different quality measures and moving forward. But we just want to say that we're really thankful that DSS has been so transparent about it and inclusive, and has allowed us to participate in the discussions. And I think the goal is to find quality measures that move us in areas that we think there needs, like, total sector improvement. So not just picking anything out of, thin air, but, where does the state need some help? Where do we need to move our nursing homes? What area, where are we finding deficiencies, and really being able to have flexible quality measures. So each year we can maybe adjust them to a different quality plan. So we're appreciative of it.
Yeah, I would probably be good if I just said hashtag what Mag said, but I do want to add that, Commissioner Gifford launched 2 major initiatives for Connecticut nursing facilities. One was the case mix, and the second was the value-based payment system. And in both instances, she initiated a stakeholder input process that I think was unprecedented. And I would argue that that's a great model, and that I think the product, is a better product because it was so collaborative. That doesn't mean we got our way or all of our recommendations were adopted, but I think it's a hallmark feature of both initiatives, and I want to express my gratitude to the Department of Social Services for that.
No, thank you. And also too, I think we have to acknowledge DPH, because, DPH, is actively and part of the conversation too with us around quality measures. And, to Mag and Matt, your point about what do we want the quality program to do, right? Because we want the quality program to just step up and incentivize our nursing homes to provide that quality that we are all interested in our state residents receiving. So, so DPH has been part of the conversation in discussing, like, which particular quality measures that we do want to identify in the first go around. And the idea behind the quality program is that it would be flexible in that we could interject quality measures that we want to see turn the tide, but then say nursing homes do a good job, and then that quality measure kind of levels out and plateaus, and they're doing a good job. Well, we could pull that out and swap that with another measure, and then put another measure in place that we want nursing homes to focus on and pay attention to and utilize in the quality program. So it's kind of an opportunity to kind of plug and play the way that we're developing it, so that we can be limber and adjust and direct the program to focus in on the areas that we want to see nursing homes improve on. So that's kind of the design behind it. And of course, in stakeholder meetings, we'll be able to show the model and how it works and not be able to show that to everyone. But we wanted it to be flexible so that we as a state can be responsive and direct nursing homes to focusing in on, under the quality program, the areas that we want to achieve success under. So definitely more to come on that, but that's generally just kind of the idea behind it. Barbara?
So I just want to reinforce Nicole's comments, and Mag and Matt, thank you for yours. But this, the quality measure program and the acuity-based system that DSS is working on, from our point of view at DPH, and specifically FLIS, the Facility Licensing and Investigation section, it just reinforces all of the work that CMS has been saying for years. So again, it aligns nicely. I think nursing homes are very comfortable with the quality measures that CMS has imposed over the years. So having conjoining those two concepts has been, I think, incredibly valuable as we work towards enhancing quality of care.
Thank you, Barbara. So and what I'll do too is I'll drop in the chat a link to our Acuity webpage where we're posting out information and updates, so folks can kind of reference that and keep an eye on that. So as more information comes out, that's where it will be posted. In Mag?
I just wanted to mention, since we're talking about the fact that the acuity-based system was initiated last July, it was initiated on a 3-year phase-in. And so only a third of the funding was provided. And so we do need the funding for the next 2 years of the phase-in. Several homes were capped and stop gain in this first year of $6.50. So we are looking for that funding in the next 2 years. So since this is the Financial Advisory Committee, I thought I'd raise that.
Thank you, Mag. So if no other discussion on that topic, we move to other business. So just open the floor, and if folks had other topics or items they wanted to discuss. Seeing none, that's surprising.
Well, if it is an open forum, I do want to wish Lita a speedy recovery. I feel grateful that I had the vaccine. When in September, I had the bivalent and my flu shot at the same time. Barbara Cass will be proud of me for having done that on the same day. And I felt that even though I'll admit that if I'm revealing it, I'm revealing my own protected health information. That I never developed the severe fever and the respiratory ailments, and I attribute it to my vaccine regimen and being up to date on the vaccine. Even though I do want everyone on this call to know that we still got very sick. My whole family got it, but nevertheless, I think the vaccine prevented me from getting sick to the point where I may needed to have been hospitalized, and so I hope everybody's seen Commissioner Giuttani's public service announcements. They are outstanding, and we are not where we need to be in Connecticut in terms of the high vaccination rates that we achieved during the height of the pandemic, and we need to strive for that. But the vaccine will prevent you from getting very sick. Everyone should get it.
Amen. Thank you, Matt. I have all the vaccines, and I do think that has helped me from being like worse off. Yeah, absolutely. I am totally on the mend now. But yeah, thank you for that. And yes, get vaccinated. It does help. Although the brain fog thing, I'm like still sort of that's the thing that's killing me. I'm like, yeah. I think I'm gonna milk that excuse for a little while. I have to say, I might milk that one for another week. I can't remember, Commissioner. Did you ask me to do that? Brain fog. Yeah. Might work better with my husband. Oh, I can't remember spending that money at Macy's. Yeah, brain fog.
Alita, I'll meet you there and we'll.
Yeah, well,
great. Okay, we'll rack up the credit card. It'll be
that,
fine.
that online shopping, don't remember.
All right, excellent. Well, seeing no additional comments or so making a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much. Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.